Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today, Shekhar Iyer ji joins me and we're going to talk about a variety of topics. But most importantly, please like this video. We have a lot of revelations coming up. And right after this program ends, we have another hangout with 𝙒𝙬𝙤𝙀𝘀 Chakrabarti about looking at the 2611 from the American side. What are the things that that America missed, and how to prevent something like this from happening ever again. Very important, 10:30 p.m. IST, that show. That's a different YouTube link. We apologize that we couldn't do everything in the same link. That's a different YouTube link, so do join us on that one also. So let's welcome our guest of the evening, Shekhar Iyer. Shekhar ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you. Thank you, Shreyaji. Thank you. Namaskar to all our viewers.
Sir, this appointing judges, the collegium system. Now, we have a funny situation in that the government wants to change it, and the Supreme Court collegium says, no, things are fine the way it is. So, in order to change it, the government has to go back to the Supreme Court and say, change it. And they're saying, no, 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 we are not going to change this. I see a sort of a catch-22 situation here. Can you explain to our viewers how this can be resolved, if ever?
Well, we are again seeing the revival of a debate actually, where the government wants to, convey the message that the verdict of 2015, when they struck down the National Judicial Appointments Commission bill, which was a constitution amendment. In fact, it was the 99th constitution amendment, which was struck down, and the Supreme Court reverted to the old collegium system. Now, after that, there was a memorandum of procedure which was issued, and that is what is being followed. But increasingly, you find the Law Minister Kiren Rijiju has been giving interviews, has been talking at media conclaves where he is saying, look, this is not part of the constitution. I mean, the collegium system which Supreme Court has created for appointment of judges is not something that is envisaged in the constitution, because the constitution talks of the president appointing judges and in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. So there is no system where, as the collegium has been insisting that we will decide, we will do everything, we will send you the recommendation, all you have to do is to put your signature and send the appointment letter, nothing more and nothing less. So therefore, though it doesn't appear like a conflict, but definitely the debate is being revived. On the other hand, from the new Chief Justice of India, in fact, he has made some observations yesterday where he says, look, when we are sitting in a collegium and deciding on names, we do due diligence, we examine each name, we do a 360-degree of the qualifications of the prospective candidates, and then we make a recommendation. And when the government has its views and it comes back to us, we consider those things, and finally when we send a recommendation, it has to be accepted. So this is a thing. But then this is a unique situation. India is the only country perhaps where the judges appoint themselves. This is something that is being pointed out again and again. Why is it that judges appoint themselves where this system does not prevail anywhere else? It's the government of the day that appoints judges. And we saw very interesting points being made by Kiren Rijiju, over the weekend, where he addressed a media conclave, where he said, look, the government draws its strength from the people, because it's the people who give the mandate to the government, and also from the constitution. And if the constitution doesn't say anything about collegium, and if it is the Supreme Court which has brought this collegium system, so how does the government completely has to completely bow before the system just because Supreme Court has said, and which we think is not part of the constitution? So one can see this debate moving forward. At least I do not see government again going in for another constitutional amendment, again going through the process, because that would appear like. But on the other hand, you can also see something other things, Sri Iyerji, where the Supreme Court is now making it very clear that it will not brook rejection of the names that are being sent by it to the government. So therefore, yesterday we saw, or rather on Friday, the Supreme Court willing to take up a petition which has been pending with it, 2018 petition filed by Prashant Bhushan, which says that the Supreme Court should pass an order saying that within 6 weeks, if we don't revert back to it, then the government has, there should be a mandate to the government or a direction to the government that you have to be, within 6 weeks, you have to appoint. You cannot delay on that. You can't sit over it. Of course, Kiran Riju's remark is we don't sit over it because there are certain names, because government has the machinery to find out about the names, about the background of the judges, whether they are complaints, whether there are charges of irregularities in their various capacities. So that is how we go about it. But this battle is getting interesting, sir, for the simple reason where Supreme Court seems to be not just limiting itself to this appointment of judges. The other day you saw it had taken up a petition saying that in the appointment of election commissioners, the Supreme Court should have a role. In the sense, there should be a collegium the government alone should not appoint election commissioners or chief election commissioner. This is again where the Supreme Court is seen as trying to expand its area, which is resented by the government. This has happened before when it came to the question of appointment of tribunals, where the Supreme Court insisted any, legal body or quasi-legal body or a body, there are appointments to be made to that body, the Supreme Court should be involved and should have a say. Which the government said, look, if you already have your courts, you have your high court where you decide everything. So if the tribunals have to be entirely decided by you, then why this extension? That is why you would have seen in the last budget, they moved a provision and dissolved 17 tribunals, which was in fact, I would say, seen as a conflict between the judiciary and the executive. So therefore, this is a very interesting, I would say, development when it comes to between two arms of our system, where there are differences coming up. And we have seen during the hearing where the Supreme Court bench, the Constitution bench, which is hearing this case, specifically asking for a file concerning the appointment of the Arun Goel as the election commissioner, saying that what was the hurry because he had resigned on one Friday, rather on one Thursday, and Friday he was appointed. He was given voluntary retirement, and he was appointed member of the election commission. So this is getting a very, very interesting battle, but both sides are keen to avoid confrontation. That much I can sense it, because the government as well as the judiciary, they are keen not to show a picture of conflict, but there is a lot of I would not want to use a word, but flexing of muscles, as it were, between the judiciary and the government on this matter. And this election commission thing, where the Supreme Court is saying that should be a collegium, and the government is, opposing. In fact, they have fielded the Attorney General, the new Attorney General of India, Venkat Ramani, to actually, put forth the view that since there is no issue involved so far, and there's no complaints have come, no illegalities have been there is no reason for Supreme Court to step in to, expand its jurisdiction over this matter.
Shekharji, to my memory, the first time a questionable appointment of a Chief Justice took place when Indira Gandhi appointed A.N. Ray, superseding, I think, 3 senior Supreme Court judges, all of whom resigned. Grover, Gadgil, and Hegde, I think. And do you remember in your long sojourn if there was a questionable Chief Justice appointment even before that, sir?
Well, I think that was a turning point in where, when Indira Gandhi went ahead and chose A.N. Ray, and at that time Mrs. Gandhi was talking of committed judiciary. You would have come across this term, committed judiciary, which was used by Indira Gandhi and others, particularly the Congress party, to say that the judiciary must be committed to the development, as it were, in the sense that they have to accept what the government wants, because the government knows best and government has a mandate. So this was a big turning point, sir. But now it has been well established, because as per the memorandum of procedure that has been laid down also, that the senior most judge after the Chief Justice will succeed once incumbent Chief Justice retires. Now that is very clear, and so far there has been no effort to disturb that. Sir, even in this appointment of judges, you see, at least 4 times the case has come before Supreme Court. You had the first judges case where the Supreme Court took a view that consultation between the government and the Supreme Court over appointment judges is not concurrence, which means Supreme Court can give a view and government can take its own can do a deliberation on that and come with a view. This was the first judge's case, but the second judge's case they reversed it. Supreme Court said no, consultation with concurrence, you have to accept it, and also the Chief Justice must consult other judges. Then there was a third judge's case where they wanted to rein in the Chief Justice, saying that Chief Justice view itself is not the view of the collegium. In fact, the collegium should be very proper, and there should be a system where 4 judges are involved, 4 senior-most judges. So where the restrictions were placed on Chief Justice, so that he alone does not decide, and if he has not followed the procedure, then it is not binding on the government. Now the fourth is what happened in 2015, because in 2014, as soon as Prime Minister Modi took office, they brought in this National Judiciary, the Judges Appointment Commission, and immediately in a year, there was a debate. There was a regular hearing, and it was struck down and it was struck down 4-1, sir. There was one Supreme Court judge who said no, there has to be transparency, and the current method is opaque. And that judge was Chalmeshwar. If you remember, Chalmeshwar.
Well, I was going to come in because Chalmeshwar had this unfortunate situation where even though he was the senior most judge, but the way he took oath as a Supreme Court judge, he came after Deepak Misra. I'm a little sketchy. You can explain that part. So he felt that his turn to be the Chief Justice was wrong. Please explain that part, and then we'll go back to your main story, sir.
Yeah, Chalmeshwar, felt that his elevation was delayed to the Supreme Court because of political reasons, and that is how he could not make it a Chief Justice. And if you remember, he was one of those 4 judges who held a press conference against Deepak Misra, saying that the system of allotment of cases was not following a proper procedure, and there was arbitrariness on the part of the Chief Justice of India. And it was a very unique spectacle where you saw 4 Supreme Court judges, of whom one of them succeeded Deepak Misra, Ranjan Gogoi. Holding a press conference, which was very unfortunate as far as our judiciary would be considered. So, sir, but one thing is coming clear. Somewhere along because of the there is a big Damocles sword called the contempt of the court, because you cannot make any comment or say anything that raises doubt about the integrity of the judges. You may criticize the judgment, but you cannot question a particular judge for giving a verdict. They are protected by that contempt, and wherever this contempt, where the judges have felt that this is being violated, they have come down heavily. Suo motu cases have been taken up, and so there is generally a feeling that a pair of tongues can catch almost anything, but it cannot catch itself. So therefore, you need a system where so you need a system where the way you choose judges, who are chosen judges, because they're already in the corridors of courts, constant complaint is there whenever collegium sends names saying that the friends have been favored, or some relatives have been favored, or these things keep coming up. So why not have a robust system of selection? Of course, the views of the judges, the views of the judiciary is, you leave it to us, we will work out a balance, and we are doing a good job. So this is the position where it is. But increasingly, the judges also realize, the public debate about manner in which the judges are chosen, who are elevated, who are transferred. And sir, recently even the transfer of one judge, Gujarat judge, that has been held up because the Gujarat Bar Association protested. Similarly, Telangana High Court, a judge was to be transferred. Of course, that has been effected, but there also the bar protested. This is also interesting scenario where the bar, the lawyers protest transfer of a judge, saying that you are transferring a good judge out of our High Court. I mean, because this is also subject to interpretation. Are a body of lawyers favoring, they want one particular judge there on the bench because it's suitable to them? These questions come. But nevertheless, sir, that system calls for some kind of a, I would say, introspection. And the touch me not approach is increasingly coming under a lot of debate. You can't touch us, we will decide ourselves. So this debate is going to go on. And with the Kiran Rijiju constantly talking about it, I get the feeling that he has a mandate from the Prime Minister to bring these issues at the public level, so that there is a wider debate. So it is not confined to government and the judiciary. There is a wider debate, and the society as a whole able to look at the issues, pros and cons, the current system, what needs to be done to strengthen it and bring more transparency into how it is done. Of course, Supreme Court says we are transparent because we put the orders on the website. We make things very clear. So the whole problem is full transparency is not possible, because when you say a particular judge has not been selected because there was an adverse IB report, that raises question on the judge, because then it will be difficult for him to continue. Let's say an ex-judge from a high court has to be elevated to Supreme Court, but the intelligence reports do not favor his elevation. Now, obviously, you cannot put that on the website of the Supreme Court saying the following person could not be elevated because there was an adverse IB report, and if he has a year to go before retirement, then it puts a judge in a very odd situation.
Sir, a couple of things I'll touch upon so that we have a completeness in conversation. Viewers, in 1969, Congress was a single entity. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister. Morarji Desai was the Deputy Prime Minister. He was also the Finance Minister. Now, Indira Gandhi passed a law without the consent of Morarji Desai that all the banks are being nationalized, one shot. Now, that led to a split in Congress. Morarji Desai, Kamaraj, all of them, all the stalwarts left. They called them the Congress O, or original, and the other one was what was remaining with Indira Gandhi. So what happened was, this decision to nationalize the banks was challenged in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court struck it down. But Indira Gandhi passed a law to override that and went on with nationalization of banks. So that was one place where the Supreme Court's writ was challenged and overridden. And I don't know how she managed to pull that off, because half of her own party was not with her at that point of time. That's amazing how she did that, because like I said, the Congress O had gone its own way. Next, in case of Election Commission, see, I have talked to Dr. Subramanian Swamy, who was the law minister at that time, when he was appointing T.N. Seshan as the election commissioner. At that time, there was only one election commissioner, not like the CEC. That came later, and I'll tell you why. So his own prime minister was not in favor of appointing T.N. Seshan as the election commissioner, but as law minister, he overrode his prime minister and said, this is the person who's going to be running elections. And you saw how there was a serious cleansing of elections. In fact, T.N. Seshan went by the rule book of the Constitution as to what the election commissioner's role was. One of the things said that he doesn't even have to go meet the law minister. And during his term, he never went to meet the law minister. So these things, now what happened, the political system said, oh my goodness, this guy is unchallenged. If the next guy also does this way, there is no way I can do anything with elections. By the way, Indian elections do get rigged. I'm saying this, I'm not saying a specific election, they do get rigged. Anyway, so that's why, to curb the election commissioner's wings, what they did was they appointed this chief election commissioner and two election commissioners beneath them, so that the triumvirate, there could be a little bit more control as to what the election commission was deciding. However, this also ran into a lot of controversy in the 2009 election, and I'll let Shekharji recollect what happened in 2009 under Gopal Swamy, sir.
Yes, Gopal Swamy had for his company Naveen Chawla, and there were open differences of view, and even T.N. Seshan period, he had a running feud with that his fellow commissioners, because the very fact that two additional commissioners were put by Narasimha Rao government was to curb the chief election commissioner's role, because T.N. Seshan, with all the good intentions at his heart, he was seen as, a raging bull, I would say,
True.
if not in a China shop. And he would pass orders, he would pass diktats, he would threaten to stop elections. So that was the kind of time, of course, when Subramanian Swamy appointed him, he was, I would say, but his full form had not come. Was not visible. But subsequently, it was quite a thing. And there were running battles in the sense, I remember covering that period when, his fellow commissioners, we used to say that, he misbehaved with me, he was abusive of me, it got down to this level. And so for, that particular phase is a, of course, this time again, what the Supreme Court is asking is, how are you appointing people? The chief election commissioners do not have full term, rather they have a very short term. But the fact is, sir, whoever is appointed gets 5 years. He serves as a commissioner, as a member of the commission, and when he takes over as chief election commission, maybe a year or two. Sir, interestingly, what I see, that there is another apprehension that is being shared at this moment, which is, look, in the 2014 elections, when Narendra Modi got a huge mandate, there was these murmurs of, EVMs being tampered and all that, which was put at rest by Election Commission, which even through a hackathon rather, to asking people to come and hack it. Since these machines are not connected to the internet, they cannot be hacked. And subsequently, 2019, again similar doubts were created, particularly by the people losing the elections, forgetting that they had won in some of the assembly elections. But they kept saying, no, there is an element of rigging involved. Sir, in 2009 also, when NDA lost power in 2004 and 2009, when BJP went to the elections projecting L.K. Advani as the prime ministerial choice, that time also, when they lost and Manmohan Singh came back as prime minister, there were murmurs within the BJP also, whether the EVMs were done in such a way, because the UPA one had not been so popular. Now, yes, sir.
Sorry about that. In 2009, after the elections concluded, I have said this in many episodes. I just want to complete it because we are talking specifically about it. An individual from United States got together 3 EVM experts across the world. Everybody traveled to India. They got hold of a couple of EVMs that were used in 2009, and they gave a press conference about how that EVM could be manipulated using a cell phone, using Bluetooth. This was demonstrated. It's not as if the Election Commission immediately jumped on the idea of VVPAT and implemented it. It was only when it was proven that there is a way to rig the count that the Election Commission went about the business of doing VVPAT. Second thing, 2014, not all constituencies had EVMs, sir. Only a few, because they didn't have the production capacity to do it. Only, I think, in somewhere between 2014 and 2019, some state elections, maybe it was UP or something like that, where every booth had an EVM. So there was consistent thing. I just wanted to kind of update everybody that there was a proven instance of how somebody showed, third party showed how the EVM could be rigged at that point of time. They changed the things after that. The VVPAT is another way. Last thing.
So VVPAT is not about hacking. VVPAT is to match the buttons pressed and the proof of
yes.
And also,
True.
sir, there in Indian politics, that is what is called EVM bahana. When you lose elections, you recourse to EVM, saying that I did not lose elections. I rather it is because of EVMs were tampered with. So and the main opposition party has been saying this. So this is that is when they say of EVM bahana. When you cannot win elections, you talk of EVM bahana. Sir, but this time my apprehension, rather, this is apprehension shared by others. Sir, those who are unable to get that kind of a mandate ever since Modi has become prime minister, Now, are they trying to question because they tried with ballot boxes, raised questions about the credibility of ballot boxes, and that they could not do? Are they now trying to raise questions about the credibility of the election commission as a political strategy? Because 2024 is not far off. Because these doubts arise because the manner in which the cases are being pursued. So one does wonder, what exactly is happening.
Yes, indeed. And this is a cartoon that we released, and we are going to get one more cartoon, and this is about the hot button between USA and Russia, Trump versus, I think, Putin, if I remember correctly, or North Korea. And in that, there will be Rahul Gandhi saying something about pressing the button. I'm hoping my editor will look up that cartoon also. We'll bring that up. But to finish what you were saying, sir, today what happens is, you said, you were right on the money. You said that the VVPAT only shows you that the pressing of your button is confirmed by the printout saying that, yeah, I pressed for hand, I see the slip says hand. Now what the EC is still not doing and should be doing, because we want to completely be sure that there was no rigging, there is a way to do that, sir. What it is today what happens is, after any election is over, what they do is, from every constituency they'll randomly pick one EVM. One EVM. So if there were, like, let us say, however many seats, 175 seats, let's say Gujarat 175 seats, I'm not even sure 175 is the correct number, it doesn't matter. So they will pick
182
182. So 182 constituencies, they'll bring one EVM randomly from all these things in front of all the party members. What they will do is, they'll run the electronic count, and then they'll manually check against the VVPAT slips to make sure that the thing matches. However, this is not truly random sampling. What they need to do is not just one per constituency, but if, let us say, there are 4,000 4,000 EVMs used, then they need to take 10%, 400, and take them randomly across all the constituencies. That 400 has to be checked and make sure that electronic count is equal to manual count. At 10%, then studies have said that means the process is truly random and that there has been no tampering. This is a statistical rule accepted. They are not doing that.
I think they are following it. They are following it.
Not 10%, sir. Not 10%. It doesn't
I
come
think
to 10%.
that is. I think it's 5%. I think 5% they are following it, if I remember.
Yeah. Here you go. Here's the cartoon. So North Korea, not Putin. He says, I have a nuclear button on my desk, and Trump has I have a bigger one. And Rahul Gandhi says, press the button, the vote will go to BJP. All right. Now we've spent a fair amount of time on elections and Supreme Court. Let's take a look at what is happening in Rajasthan. So, what is Sachin Pilot's lounge? Departure or arrival, or is it like the lounge is going to be closed? Let us hear from Shekhar ji.
Well, Sri Ayerji, the choice is not with Sachin Pilot, because Ashok Gehlot has done a preemptive strike. I mean, he has called and given an interview, a televised interview, just before Rahul reaches Rajasthan as part of his Bharat Jodo Yatra. And he has made some of the wildest allegations against Sachin Pilot, saying that Sachin Pilot and his people who revolted in 2020 against his leadership had taken money from Home Minister Amit Shah. And he even mentions a figure of 10 crore, per legislator. I mean, this is a huge charge against Sachin Pilot, and saying that such betrayers cannot become CMs, which means Ashok Gehlot is conveying to the Congress High Command, I mean, the euphemism for the Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, and Priyanka Gandhi, that no matter what you do, you cannot have me replaced by him. I am not going to accept that, whatever you can do. I think, sir, this is the most defiant stand taken by Ashok Gehlot, and I do not know what is the choice before the Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, or Priyanka Gandhi. Either there are only two things they can do. They can actually try to enforce and try to push him out and face a situation where there is an open revolt and Ashok Gehlot manages to stay as CM, though he may not be part of the Congress if they decide to expel him. But I doubt whether the Congress leadership at the moment, I mean, they are, want to enforce their diktat. Rather, I can see some kind of a tactical retreat at the moment, because after this latest spat, after Sachin Pilot also reacted to what Ashok Gehlot had said, we had Jairam Ramesh, who is the new chairman of the AICC, media and the chief spokesperson these days, saying that whatever will be, it will be resolved to the point where Congress is strengthened by it. Last thing that can happen, the last thing that can happen if this is settled is strengthening of the Congress. But he says we'll go for such a formula. But one can see that Sachin Pilot is also at his wit's end, rather at his tethered end, I would say, because there is no way, Ashok Gehlot is going to honor any commitment, if there was one, to hand over the baton to Sachin Pilot. On the other hand, supporters of Sachin Pilot are also getting very restive. They are saying there is 1 year left. You should go to the election with Sachin Pilot, a youthful face, to face the challenge from the BJP. But Ashok Gehlot is all interested, is he's not bothered about what happens in 2023 assembly election. He wants to complete his full term. So this is where the whole story is. But incidentally, they are having meetings where Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot are sitting together and planning out the Bharat Jodo Yatra's preparations as it enters Rajasthan sometime in the first week of December.
So true. So now, what, according to me, Ashok Gehlot is saying is, heads I win, tails you lose, or chit bhi meri, pat bhi meri. So whichever way you want to take it. Now let's take a look at what is happening in Gujarat. I think Gehlot is managing Gujarat also for Congress, isn't he?
He was managing, rather, in fact, he was credited with the 2017 performance of Congress, because Congress had managed to, after a long haul, they had managed to get 77 seats in 2017 elections.
Close.
And they had reduced BJP to 99. It had come below 100, giving a lot of tremors in the BJP and a shock to Prime Minister Modi also. But sir, after that, with the demise of Ahmed Patel, who was a kind of a chief strategist for the Congress, this time we do not see that kind of energy or drive in the Congress. Though we are told that Congress has gone for a silent campaign, they are campaigning in the villages, but the fact remains they are missing all star campaigners, because with first phase of elections due on December 1st, we saw Rahul Gandhi address just a couple of meetings earlier. Probably he will come again and do some more meetings. But the manner in which Rahul went about in 2017, he addressed several meetings. In fact, he covered all the regions of Gujarat. And that brought kind of that, the enthusiasm as well as the drive and energy to the campaign. That is hugely missing this time. But the question is, Aam Aadmi Party under Kejriwal is, addressing meetings all over Gujarat and openly saying, look, Congress is going to lose deposits, so don't waste your vote on Congress. Even if a Congress MLA gets elected, he may defect to the BJP. So try out Aam Aadmi Party. And Kejriwal is realistic in one sense, because he is not looking at a situation where BJP will actually lose the elections or fail to get majority on its own. Rather, he is looking at the second spot, the opposition spot, where his party can displace the Congress party. Because if he does that, then the Lok Sabha elections in 2024, then he can look at winning a couple of seats or a few seats for his all India pan India presence. I think that's the target Kejriwal is looking at. But success of Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat will mean definitely diminishment of the Congress, because the Congress will get diminished in the process, because they are both fighting for an anti-BJP vote. There is Congress all the time, all along, even during the great days of Modi in Gujarat, Congress managed to have about 35 to 40% vote. That vote is there. That's why they say there is definitely a Congress vote in Gujarat, but the Congress in Congress party has gone missing.
So good, sir. Now let's take a quick look at MCD, Municipal Corporation of Delhi election. I think now this is a unified entity. It was 3 different municipalities. They are all clubbed into a single entity now. And I thought Kejriwal was rushing back to Delhi because his base itself might be shaken.
Well, there is a lot of pressure on Aam Aadmi Party to win this election because this is the best case scenario for Aam Aadmi Party. They won the they won the assembly elections. They are in power, but MCD has always been with the BJP for the last 15 years. Sir, even when earlier under Sheila Dikshit's time, it was one MCD, but Sheila Dikshit wanted to prevent the BJP again winning it, so she split it into three. She made municipal corporation of South Delhi, North Delhi, and East Delhi, and areas were all merged, were reorganized. But then BJP managed to win, securing majority north and south with the help of some independents and also east. So therefore, for the last 15 years, it has been under BJP. But the municipal administration in Delhi has been the BJP's weakest link or its soft belly, I would say, because in terms of governance, in terms of delivery, in terms of the voter satisfaction, if one were to look at it, I think it has left largely, a lot of things have not been done. That is what gives Aam Aadmi Party a lot of confidence this time. And they feel that this is a good opportunity. Because if Aam Aadmi Party fails to capture MCD this time, it will have a bearing on the 2025 Delhi Assembly elections. And Delhi's situation is very peculiar, sir, in the sense the issues that come up in the assembly elections of Delhi are also issues that come up in the municipal elections of Delhi.
Of course,
Because
the
both
state
talk
is
about
the
civic
city.
issues.
It's a
Civic
city state.
issues, yes,
Yeah.
because the same issues come. Whether it is sewerage treatment, whether it is water supply, running of schools, whether the government schools or municipal schools or government hospitals or municipal hospitals, issues are almost same. So BJP has a tough task at hand, where they have been there for 15 years. So you can imagine the kind of anti-incumbency issue. Some people say the anti-incumbency issues are as high as what is that the Ghazipur landfill, which is also called the Kuda Pad. You know, Khachra Pad, they call it, as Kejriwal has made an issue of it. How did you allow an entire hill of, Kuda to collect without finding alternatives to dispose them? And then the whole problem is, sir, in the terms of, if you look at the characters who become, ward members or those who form part of the ward councillors, they form any parties, the basic raw stock, the kind of people you get there, the quality of leadership you get there, and their commitment to governance. These are whichever party, whether it's Congress party or, but it is from there only, you get future MLAs of Delhi, future legislators of Delhi. So therefore, this battle is a real battle. And Kejriwal has been saying all this excise scam probe is all to indict the Aam Aadmi Party, give it a bad name. Of course, the Delhi people of Delhi have been treated to the visuals of the Tihar jail, where you are finding the jail minister who has not yet resigned, Satyendra Jain, being treated to all kind of a luxury treatment inside Tihar jail. He being a jail minister who has not resigned, despite he has been he is in judicial custody in the cases that are under investigation by the enforcement directorate. So that is on one side. So therefore, sir, the voters of Delhi, they have a choice before them. Can they trust BJP again, or should other extraneous issues dominate their choice, or should they try out Aam Aadmi Party? But then there has been a slide in Aam Aadmi's popularity also, since they came to power. So this is going to be very, very interesting battle, sir. But definitely it's a do or die battle for Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, and for BJP to lose Delhi, notwithstanding fact they have been 15 years, will also be seen as a setback in terms of overall optics, that BJP could not retain its position in Delhi, the national capital.
Well, we will leave it at that, and we will try and get you some initial numbers about all these three elections: Himachal Pradesh, Gujarat, and Delhi. We are trying to get our ace cephalogist, and we'll keep you posted on that part. Let's take some questions now, please. Ulhas Kashyap wants to know, do you see judicial interference in the 2024 elections? The work credentials of CJI Chandrachud do seem to suggest that.
Well, I do not see, whether the Supreme Court is actually interested in you know, trying to do anything with the election process, unless, of course, there are legalities involved and somebody comes before them challenging some aspect of, the electioneering process. But I do not see the any intent or any purpose or any inclination or proclivity of the apex court to get into the election process, unless there is a matter before it challenging the validity of some decisions of the election commission or that. Otherwise, I don't think. And as far as Chandrachud is concerned, sir, he is a very, very matured judge who is known for his jurisprudence and understanding. Though there are apprehensions that he may the Supreme Court could be a tough place for the government to answer, and they may have to answer. That's a different thing, because that's a part of the judicial processes, and where the government is called upon to explain many of its decisions before the apex court. That's a different thing. But I do not see any such. One cannot come with that kind of a view that there could be some problems for the government on the legal side.
Next question, please. Ramani Kritivasan wants to know, sir, how will you rate the current Modi government vis-a-vis the Congress in handling situations like this in judiciary?
Well, sir, one remembers Hansraj Bharadwaj, who was law minister in the Congress government. He was law minister under Narasimha Rao, and he was also law minister for some time under Manmohan Singh. And he had his own way about handling the judiciary. He had excellent PR with the judiciary and top members of the judiciary. And the government of the day then never faced any problem whatsoever, because he had his own way of doing things. Of course, this time, you had first Modi, the Prime Minister Modi had Arun Jaitley as the law minister. Then after that, under Arun Jaitley being a senior member of the bar, he had good relations with a lot of other members of the bar as well as the judiciary. A lot of things could, what can be sorted out through discussions were done during that period. Then came Ravi Shankar Prasad. That was the period when I feel probably, a lot of things were beginning to happen, and a lot of things needed to be sorted out between the government and the judiciary. And Prime Minister then realized that, there were problems. And now you have a very young Kiran Rijiju. In fact, when Kiran Rijiju was chosen, people wondered, people did not even know that he had a law degree, because he was sports minister. And from sports, he was given law. But ever since he has taken over, he has in his own style, he has managed to put forth the government views on various aspects concerning the relationship between the executive and the judiciary. And his latest pronouncement in his own style, without appearing to be, rude or without trying to cause any affront to the judiciary, he has been putting forth his views. So it is a very interesting phase where we are seeing the government judiciary relationship is being, I would say, is something, it's in the works. And I think an effort will be made by both sides, both the judiciary as well as the government, to see if certain things can be sorted out and a solution can be found, respecting each other's limitations as well as strengths.
Thank you, sir. And my personal opinion about Ravi Shankar Prasad ji was that he had an unfortunate hand, in the sense that he was the brother-in-law of Rakesh Rajiv Shukla. And they used to say, oh, this man is connected with Bollywood and IPL and all that stuff. But as a law minister, I think he did a good job. It was unfortunate that when he became the IT minister, that there was a challenge that was thrown by the social media companies. And I think he became the unfortunate victim of that. I don't know all the underlying politics, but I just felt that I have to say that as a law minister, he appeared quite competent. Just 2 cents of mine, sir. Next question. C.A. Vishwanathan wants to know, is Modi government an oligarch type government? Adani seems to be an oligarch like Bajwa. Wealth increases multifold. Your view, please.
Well, it is easy to assume that, Ambani's flourished under Congress, or, the Dhirubhai Ambani, or that, Adanis are flourishing under this regime. Well, one tends to look at, things happening. Of course, it's also a fact that one notices in terms of big contracts, which are going Adani way. But then what has happened between this time under Modi's dispensation and previously, so these are open bidding, where companies are coming and bidding, and Adani has won some bids, whether it is coal mining bid or running airports. These are open bids. So for us to, to assume that there is some favoritism shown, that is why Adani is getting it, would not, would require little more evidence to be placed before we come with that. So I do not share the view of Vishwanath that that uh, though one tends to see 2 plus 2 is 10 because he's a Gujarati Prime Minister, Gujarati, so therefore there is a favoritism toward Gujarati. But I don't think like that. Rather, it's a process where, sir, among these big projects, when you talk of big infrastructure project, few companies in India have that kind of investment capability or even that organizational capability to enter into these projects. So therefore, it is again those handful of those companies who are bidding for everything, whether construction of the parliament to construction of an airport. The limitation is the nature of our our companies and the expertise that they have.
True, sir. I agree. Ada Code 123 wants to know, sir, how is the scene looking for BJP in upcoming Lok Sabha elections? Are there any surprises in store for our country? Hope BJP will emerge victorious. This is the last question. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I think right now everybody is looking at the Gujarat elections and the Himachal elections. Now, if BJP manages to do well in Himachal Pradesh and gets a second mandate, and also create a record in Gujarat, because what the Prime Minister is looking at in terms of results from Gujarat, he wants BJP to set a record. If that were to happen, I think the mood will set for the BJP for the coming year, because the coming year is going to see some elections in the first part of the year and then the other later part of the year. Of particular challenge will be the Karnataka election in the early 2023. That's going to be a real challenge, sir, because you have an incumbent BJP government there. There are anti-incumbency issues because a lot of those anti-incumbency issues are carried over from the period when PS Yedurappa was the chief minister, and now the responsibility has fallen on his Baswaraj Bombay actually to pull the BJP to the safer side. So this is going to be a very big challenge. Of course, on the Congress side, you have Congress fighting within itself. You have a DK Shiv Kumar and Siddaramaiah, and now Mallikarjun Kharge, being from Karnataka, is the Congress president. That's a new dimension happening there. And sir, end of the year, you have got 4 assembly elections, which are going to be very, very crucial to what is going to happen in 2024. You have the Telangana election, you have Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Rajasthan. Now, these are 4 crucial states. Apart from that, there are some assembly elections in the northeast in the beginning of the year and also the end of the year. And Tripura is also there, which is again the early part of the year. Karnataka and Tripura, the early 2023, and these states, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, and Telangana in the later part. So these are going to actually give us some kind of an indication to which direction the voters are looking at 2024. But as of now, sir, the opposition unity has not crystallized. There is no leader in the horizon who can be seen as remotely alternative to even Prime Minister Modi. These are certain advantages of the BJP. But at the same time, at the micro level, challenges are also there because people's expectations are also high. Of course, a lot of personal worth is invested in Prime Minister Modi, and Prime Minister Modi has even all these assembly elections. You are seeing him doing hectic campaign. And he fights for every assembly election as if his next thing depended on it.
Thank you so much, Shekhar ji. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. We'll be back again next week with Shekhar ji on what is happening in the politics of India. Thank you once again, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you, sir.